Hi, viewer. Thanks for joining me. This will be a live stream, but with no video, fortunately. So yeah, thanks for joining. It's really a pleasure to have you around. Um, do feel free to say hello or hi. That will be fine. So, for this video, I'll be talking about a popular case that has been going on in Nigeria so far, and the case is a case of someone called Chidinma. And this Chidinma is not the same Chidinma I spoke about in my last video, but this Chidinma is a different person. She's unknown, a regular girl in university doing her thing and get caught up in a scandal. And what is the scandal? Her scandal is that she killed someone who is a well-known person in the media industry, and his name is Usifo. And Chidinma, I'm not going to go into the whole history, but I'll just give a good overview of what has happened and why I'm speaking about her. So the news broke out, I don't know, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, about this case where a young girl, Chidinma, was reported to kill a guy or a chief executive officer of a TV program based in Nigeria, and it's called Super TV. And his name is Usifo. And Chidinma's name, full name, we discover is Ojukwu, but it's not Ojukwu. This is actually her last adopted name, but she is called Chidinma Blessing Echifo. So why am I speaking about her? So according to the case, she lounged with this man in a place that the guy rented, and according to people, this man is very big, and he is a super he has power in the media industry, and they call him a billionaire. So what happened in his case is that he booked for let's call it an Airbnb. Let's just give that or what you call a self-contained flat or room to host Chidinma, who killed him. But Chidinma's situation is very different in that Usifo is a married man. Usifo is almost 50 years old and was meant to be celebrating his 50 years birthday on, I think, on the day he was killed. And so what happened in this situation, according to reports, I mean, different reports come every now and then. So it's an ongoing case with different twists, different news, different everything coming in. So Chidinma, in her, I don't know what happened between, but I'll just say her own story, the way this thing went. So the guy booked the hotel, arranged for everything for both of them, and they ended up, it's not a hotel, but it's like an apartment. I'll just, for the sake of argument, I'll say it's Airbnb. I mean, for the fact that we live in UK, so that's what we'll call it. So Chidinma came, sorry. Hi, Chichi, proud to be Igbo. Thank you so much for commenting and joining me. It's a pleasure to have you. So what happened in this situation is that in the hotel or in the apartment or Airbnb, wherever they rented in Lagos, the guy rented it, the guy arranged for everything for her to be present. So basically, he was committing adultery with this girl, and this girl is 21 years old, and this man is 50 years old. Let's call him 50 because he died probably on his 50th birthday. Who knows? Whilst his family were preparing for his 50th celebration, he was busy trying to commit adultery with a young girl. So what happened in this situation then is that he was killed by Chidinma, as reports claim, and Chidinma confessed to killing the guy. And according to her, there were different claims that she brought up, and I think is the claims that I actually want to concentrate on, not necessarily on the man because he's dead and gone. and they still yet to do all the investigations that are needed to be done for a dead person. So she said that the guy tried, she asked the guy for money, and the guy didn't want to give her money. And then she was not happy. So remember, this guy is a if not multi-thousandaire, but or multi-millionaire. He's described to be a billionaire. So I don't know if she knows the network of this man, but probably she knows that he has money. That's all she knows. So what happened in this situation is that, according to her, this is according to her because we haven't heard from the guy's perspective. What happened is that she said that the guy forced himself on her when she wasn't happy because she wasn't happy to be penetrated through. So I'm trying not to use some languages because of demonetization issues, but then again, you never know when it slips out of your mouth. So she didn't want the guy to penetrate through her, but he had his way. So in this case, she was actually accusing him of sexual abuse in situations like this. So um, she said she allowed it the first time and continued smoking, drinking, whatever they were doing. And the second time around, she was really unhappy in this situation. I don't know what happened in between, but for some reason they got into an altercation, which landed them in the kitchen. In her own story, she grabbed the knife in the kitchen and she said the guy was strangling her. And then she stabbed him in the neck or on the neck. And I don't know what continued there, but there was multiple stab wounds, and he eventually died. And Chidinma escaped with his card and withdrew money with his card and probably went back home. So after some search, because the family could not see him whilst they were trying to celebrate his birthday, they didn't see him. So they raised alarm with the police, who investigated the whole thing and found Chidinma, as she is the last person to be seen with him. Anyways, last, she was caught and arrested, and now pretty much waiting for her trial. But whilst waiting for her trial, has been invited to different media places to say what happened, to give her own account of the story. Now, there are something I want to focus upon in this particular story is that I actually don't like the way the news are carrying about trying to get her to speak. I felt that there are some points that I want to pick out here, and I will tell you each one. First, I've got about 7 points, actually, or keynotes I want to speak out about. And the first one I just feel is lack of safety. I feel like she's not being given the same safety that should be accorded to someone accused of murdering or someone that has confessed to murdering a person. And according to her, she acted alone. So although people don't believe she could have because of her size, I mean, if you see the picture of the thumbnail, possibly it will help you give an idea of who she is. I mean, she's quite a young person, isn't she? So she's in 300 level, and in UK, we will call that year 3. Studying mass communication or fashion, I don't know, whatever she's studying in University of Lagos. So what happened in this situation, I just feel like there is no safety. I mean, she's going everywhere. I can't remember how many media or TV channels or blog channels or even YouTube channels I've seen her on. Um, just different media people trying to interview her to get her own side of the story. I just felt like that is just going to not help her case, although it's good for public appeal. I just feel like when it comes to court case, if you notice, I mean, I live in the UK currently, most criminals are not interviewed in that way. It is usually after the fact, after everything has been said and done. Even the families, I don't understand why they're actually asking the families to speak about it. The families are not even meant to be interviewed because what you're doing there is actually manipulating evidence that could be used either for or against her. And what you're leaving the girl is vulnerable. I don't know who her lawyer is or who is advising her. I just feel like her protection And protection is not just physically, but protection in regards to the case, how it could be viewed by the public or the jury. Because just like George Floyd, it was very difficult to make. I mean, why am I comparing it to George Floyd? But I'm just trying to see public cases that has been out there. It's difficult to choose juries when it's a public case and everything is known. Do you know what I mean? Even the person that killed George Floyd, you know, understand, like, he didn't speak. And that's about protecting you as a person, as the person that is still that committed the crime. Please, I'm so sorry if I'm using a wrong example by including George Floyd in this, but that's the first thing that came into my head. But even at that, young people like her, I mean, yes, you call her young adults, but still, she's still kind of growing, just living her 20s. So I mean, I just felt like there is lack of safety and protection for this girl. And this is just, I just feel like it's not fair the way they're making her go around speaking to different people, just not protecting her properly in that way, and also possibly biasing her any evidence that she can give or her story, which can be used against her in the court of law. And then let's talk about the strangling aspect of it. This is the part where many people are saying, oh, she couldn't have committed this crime alone, plus the stabbing and everything. I think let's look at the size of Chidinma and the guy. This guy is 50 years old, for crying out loud. He can easily overpower the girl. Okay. But she said this, that they were intoxicated with drugs and alcohol. So made it easier for her to have more advantage, I'm guessing. So in this situation, if you notice, there is a substance misuse, and which is what I will come to. And then another thing that she said here, if you want to say, she said she was forced to have sexual intercourse or being forced. And in that way, you're accusing someone of sexual abuse, like rape. Because one thing is, even if the person is in the same room with you, even as, I mean, at least as according to sexual training, what do you call it? Well, I've forgotten the name of that training that they give you about sex and all those things. What do you call sexual exploitation? Even if just before you're about to enter and the person says no, or even when you've entered, the person says stop, it means no. Because anything beyond that becomes rape. No means no. Okay. So perhaps because she felt that she had to comply, or she allowed him in, and maybe hoping for him to maybe release money, who knows, or she couldn't be bothered. She allowed him the first time, but the second time she wasn't happy, and that's possibly where the issue really began properly for both of them, because he hasn't granted what she wanted. So in that way, there's equally probably an exploitation going on there. So there is that aspect that she's accusing the guy. Now we also need to remember that the guy is not alive. So it's important to weigh that in, that he cannot tell what really happened. But I just feel like, because he is very big and popular, I feel like the way I've seen some social media accounts describe the whole issue, they are actually just um, almost condemning the girl. And I know they are saying obviously cheating is not right, and obviously what he was committing is adultery. But then if we think of it, if he's able to arrange all those things for Chidinma, I'm thinking that Chidinma is not his first. And if this case did not happen, it would not have been his last either. So um, in this situation, then this is just assumptions I'm making. But in this situation, this is most of these things that we are saying, apart from the things that Chidinma has said for herself, because I can say the ones I'm actually pointing out is things that she has verbalized herself. So I wouldn't say allegedly, but we are saying for now it's still allegedly that she killed. But she confessed it with her mouth. But people feel like she's not on her own. I don't know. So in these situations, that I just felt like we also need to consider her own emotions and her own feeling. And hearing how other bloggers are actually speaking about it, it's just making the girl seem like one devil or evil person like that. And this is her first crime in this kind of case, anyways. Although she has been in a lifestyle that we not call favorable, which is that according to reports and writings, she is a she smokes a lot or she is into drugs and has negative peers and just been doing some bad things since young or youth. So I just wanted to bring those things out. Please do share your thoughts on the case. If you know about the case or if you're hearing it for the first time, for those that are viewing me, if you're hearing it for the first time, please, if you have any thoughts on the things I'm saying, please do comment or chat with me, please. Okay, so let's talk about another thing that was brought about in this situation. Um, Before then, don't forget to like, share this, please, so that other people are aware of this live video. And I'm here to educate. I'm not a blogger that will be, I'm not one of those people that try to hype you up or make it as if it's a gossip. I'm not, that's my channel is more education and advice. So that's what my channel is more about than it is of trying to give you the latest gossip, but more or less looking at what we can learn from issues or situations, public situations that has brought that are brought to our public domain. So another thing we look at here is substance misuse. Now she says she doesn't remember. She started taking drugs um, when she started mingling with the wrong group. So here she's just talking about negative peer influence, and since then she's been doing that. So she's been taking drug and alcohol, which, according to her family, has been an issue with the family, and one of the issues that she had with her mother or her family, which led her to leave. And now another thing that we focus here is peer pressure. Now, let me tell you why I'm speaking about these things. There is a lecturer that I was listening to. Was it TVC News? I can't remember what news channel I was watching it. The way he expressed lack of empathy, he's like, oh, peer pressure should not make you kill. Absent mother should not do this. I'm like, do you guys know that young people suffer a lot of things? And this is one of the reasons why I actually wanted to talk about this, because I work with young people and also with those that have committed crimes, okay? Equally, a lot of crimes, okay? Um, Crimes that have put people into hospital. So I have worked with them, and some of them I have still work with. Um, so I understand situations, okay, that young people do face in when it comes to criminal issues. So I think one thing we need to consider when we are dealing with cases of such like Chidinma and the issues that she has raised, which are a lot. The other things that she raised is peer pressure, the issue of absent mother because she didn't grow up with her mother, but rather with a guardian. Not that her mother is not alive, her mother is still alive, but I think they had family issues that she moved out and adopted another person to be a guardian for her. Parenting issue as well. Again, lack of empathy from some, perhaps if not most, Nigerian bloggers and sometimes some news people that deliver the news or newscasters. Another thing that she's is there is just that that condemnation I feel like needs to chill a little bit and let her express herself. So let's talk about the issue of peer pressure. When I hear people saying that, oh, peer pressure should not lead you to do this, you should not lead to do that. What you really do not understand about peer pressure is it comes on, there is a lot of layers. If I can focus on this one for a bit, it comes with a lot of layers. There is confidence issue when it comes to peer pressure. That's why you need to build up your confidence as a person. And peer pressure is not just experienced by young people, it's experienced by adults as well. And even to death, you still experience pressure from peers or from somewhere, somehow. But if negative peer pressure, like the ones that she described, can lead to you doing things that you would never have done in your life, okay? And even still regret doing in your life, it will lead you to think in a way that you would probably, if left on your own, you will never come up with those ideas. Negative peer pressure brings down someone's self motivation, self esteem. It breaks down relationships between families, it breaks down relationships between people. and it actually kills the spirit. So, what am I saying here? We need to consider the issues that she has brought up. How ask her how this negative peer pressure influenced her. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of TV, but I watch a lot some crimes TVs. Some of the things I have seen some young people do for their boyfriends, for their friends, it is absolutely crazy. There was a thing I was watching, and this girl killed someone because of boyfriend. So there was that negative issue in that negative pressure. And it's actually someone of similar age to the person. So there is that negative pressure to conform so that you can please your peers. Haven't you seen people? Actually, let's give an example. In the news, I know this is in America, where people are playing this one fainting game where you hold your neck until you literally go blank, and then you faint and you wake up again. Many young people were engaging in this without their parents' knowledge until one of the deaths start happening through that game. It was a game for them. It was an innocent game, but some people lost their life. So the impact of peer pressure on people are different, and we need to understand that the impact of peer pressure on people are different. Some people can withstand negative peer pressure, others can't. Others succumb to it. And all of us, if we are honest with ourselves, have succumbed to one pressure or the other, whether negative or positive. So if we are able to have empathy with her on these situations, I feel like it would really help to see the humanity in her. And I think that's what I'm trying to push here. There is a humanity in a criminal. And I know that firsthand because I've worked with them. So there is humanity in them. And we need to understand that part of humanity so that we do not see them as just based on the acts that they committed, but on who they are, what led them to these things. Another thing that she mentioned is the absent mother issue. In my videos, I mean, whenever I do videos like this, I don't know, I don't think people think that way, but maybe I think people think that way. But sometimes people don't understand that I know what I'm talking about. Or they think I'm just trying to speak negatively about someone, but that's never the issue. I feel like in every situation, we must learn from what this person has experienced. In my video, one of my videos, I did something about Regina Daniels and the issue of absent fatherhood after and what things that could bring. The same happens with mothers, where you have absent mother. If in this situation, her mother was not necessarily absent because she is still alive, but well, actually, she is absent because according to reports, she hasn't seen the girl for 10 years. So tell me, within that 10 years, who is raising that child? She is living with a male guardian, yeah. And this person has put her through school, supported her. She wasn't getting along with her mother. So there is an issue of that relationship that we do not understand, that when a child do not have a good relationship with his or her parents, it affects the outcome of the child's life. It affects the way the child looks at life. It affects the way the child has relationship with others. It affects the way the child, even in this situation, money issue, the child looks at money and the relationship with money for this child. When you have issue of absent either mother or absent father, it can really destroy a child's life if there is no other person to help build that. And you can find another person to help mend those things. If you notice, most of these street boys that we know, most of them choose someone if they're going to settle down to marry. They usually choose someone who is of a motherly figure because they have missed that in their life. Let me give you an example. I had or two examples. So, as I mentioned to you, I've worked with people that equally have committed one crime or the other, whether trivial or serious cases. But let me give you an example of one person that committed a crime of serious case, and this one was quite public actually. So it was funny on the day that because okay, I don't know. I will not speak so much about this client because obviously it's still a client case, but I'm just going to give you a general overview. What I found so very interesting was that whilst I was with this guy and he was preparing to go to the police station, it was interesting to hear his story and his family background story. And this guy grew up without his father properly because his father married someone else. And the mom herself, I don't know if she was always, but became an alcoholic. Now, in understanding the situation with this guy who I've worked for some months with, if not almost a year, it was interesting that I was, whilst with the person in one of my sessions with him, actually, in one of the sessions I had with him, or one of the last few sessions I had with him, his father was busy over the phone advising him on how to behave in the police station, to the police, how to go to the police and do all those things. And in my mind, I was thinking, how about if there was advice on how to avoid crime altogether, than how to either escape or what's it called, hand yourself over to say. And in this situation, I was I was a bit flabbed, to be honest. I just felt like, wow. Some honestly, I can tell you, some young people go through a lot of things, and I feel like because they are still young, people think they don't know anything about life. My dear, some experiences that some young people have had, you yourself as an adult will never have had it, even if you die. So we need to look at different cases and how it affects someone else, because even if it's two families or two siblings experiencing the same issue, that person, like one of the siblings may not have internalized that in the same way another sibling will internalize it. Let's say, for example, in situations where you got what do you call it? You got punished for something. Two people get punished. One might see it that their or mother absolutely hates them, but whilst the other one may see it as a point of correction. So we need to understand how people internalize things that are done to them, and then help them to understand how to guide it. There is a thing I was watching, and this guy also coming out from the street and the life of crime, been to jail, done everything. He said this. There is something about growing up that we need to understand, because there are certain behaviors that you see in a child, and you try to mold that child. When the child is not being molded by the parents in a way that he or she should go, then they end up taking on that behavior for themselves and going about it with no guidance. Okay, so it's important to understand the issue of absent mother in a child's life. Yes, I agree with you, Chichi. That's true. Because lack of parenting, like, is actually an issue. And the reason why I say that is, if people do not have good parenting, no matter how little, it then falls on sometimes their peers to advise them. That is the truth. If people do you know that some people have their peers as actually the only family that they have? Some people only have their peers as the family, as their family, as their confidant, as their disciplinarian, as everything. So if people do not have a parent around or someone that could guide them. Now, remember, a biological parent is very different from a guardian. Now, I tell you the reason why. If you notice the difference between foster children and adopted children and children from of biological parents in a home, if they're living together, you notice there are differences the way they relate with this particular guardian. So if we not take those things into account, we will understand where a child is coming from. And to me, I'm hoping that some of the things that she's brought up can be used for in her favor when it comes to court cases. So the issue of lack of parenting and absence of parents, it brings up a lot of attachment issue. It brings up a lot of emotional issues that makes it difficult for a child who may not be able to withstand the negative impacts of that situation, because for some people they use that to thrive. They use that as their backbone to be like, do you know what, I can do all things. But while others just don't get that, I'd say the ginger, they don't get that, what do you call it, motivation, they don't get that backbone to use to get to where they are. So that's one thing I feel like we need to understand. There is a need for a better parenting. And again, how do we know how the guardian raised her? So how, even if there was a parenting, how do we know how a child is raised? Okay, because even if you raise someone good, they may choose a negative path. You may raise someone bad and they choose good. But as I mentioned, it's all individual by individual. And then I think one thing and I wanted to say was the lack of empathy. The lack of empathy I felt that was coming from those that have reported on the news. And I'll say, like, for those that have lack of empathy, I'll say just reflect back on your own life. Forget that maybe when you were growing up, because most people speaking are actually quite old, are very, very old, like in their 70s, 60s, 40s, 30s, whatever. When the way people grew up back then is different now. Children are trained different nowadays. In most cases, they just prefer you to have relationship with them and understand their own situation and just be present. You don't really have to do much for them to be happy, as the social media can always do that. Just be present. Um, Equally, like if that is, I will say, just if that is your sibling, is that if that is your sister, if that is your brother, is that is your child, how would you want that child to be treated? Because at this point, I'm wondering who is actually speaking for this girl. All her family members literally just, it seems like, apart from this guardian, and I like to think there must be something for her to adopt the guardian's last name than her real last name. Okay. So how families also relate with someone that has been um that is actually pushed out is very important. And I'll give you another kind of information about someone I worked with. I remember because I worked with children that are looked after from looked after homes, and they when they're coming with different baggages, to be honest. And I remember this girl said something whilst having conversation with someone. I was present there. This is why I go back to the issue of absent parents, whether mother or father. She said this. She said, "You do not need family." Now, if you do not know that girl, you'll be thinking, I don't know what you would think. If someone asks, let me say for those viewing me, if someone tells you that you do not need family to be happy, you do not need family to succeed, what would be the first thing that comes into your mind? Would you think, agree with this person, or would you be like, are you serious? Or would you try to dive in and get more? Okay, so think about it. If someone really, I've actually seen it coming up a lot on social media, is that you have to be willing to detach from yourself from your family if they are toxic, if they are this, if they are that. And when you listen to each individual advice, I get where they're coming from, but I just also feel like whilst detaching, you probably need to you need to understand that not everyone is perfect. Okay, not every family is perfect because the next family you think you're going to get to may not be good for you. Okay, and even at least even if you feel like you do not need your own immediate family, get a guardian. Okay, so if you do not feel like you need a family, that there is an issue. It shows a deep rooted issue within you with the relationship that you have with your family, and this is what the girl did not realize, that the rejection that she faced from her family members. I mean, I'm telling you, this girl was rejected from young. She was adopted as a child. She was rejected by her mother, who never came to see her, doesn't even speak to her on the phone, according to her. And in some situations, even the parents made other siblings turn against this girl. And you know the funny thing about that, when she said that, I wanted to say something to her, just to say, oh no, you didn't family, but then I had to quieten down because at this point I knew where the girl was coming from. And you know what the ironic or even the funny thing about this is that this girl used to spend most of her time with her best friend in the best friend's family. What does that show you? The girl was hurting deep inside. She was hurting from the rejection and finding love in different places, or seeking to find love in different places. And not long after, I heard when I left at work, I heard she has gotten pregnant and now starting her own family. So you see, sometimes when people make declarations of such things, for example, you must really calm down. Don't just go off and be like, why did you do that? Trying to convince them why. Honestly, if I didn't have this experience, I wouldn't probably would have been doing that. But for the fact I already know her case, I knew where she was coming from. She was coming from a place of hurt. And she was literally engaged in anything and every like literally she was not her case was also known to the police. So you need to really look at where some young people are coming from, because if we overlook some of the issues that they are bringing to you to say this has been an issue, and it may not have been an issue that led them to commit the crime, but it's an ongoing issue that continues to go and build, that they have lost their sense of self, they have lost their identity, they have lost their esteem, they have lost their discipline, self-control, that leads them to commit such crimes. Okay, she's only 21, about to finish university. Now, let's come to the case where people say that she may not have acted alone. I don't know. She says she acted alone, but let's pretend that she did not act alone. If she did not act alone, who else do you think would have acted with her? Was it a setup? If she did not act alone, who would be so invested and interested in the guy's murder? Because the funny thing about this whole situation is that the girl only like went to get money and go back home. I mean, it shows the naivety and the childishness of the girl. She didn't go running or escaping. She just left the place, go back to, she probably went back home or just went to Skype a little bit. And the naivety, or if not the uh, uh, unexperiencedness of her, she went and took money out. Like, seriously, how can you kill someone and take money from them? I think you will not be traced. And another thing that they said, that she did not use her real identity card. So, and that's, I don't know. There's a lot of things coming up with this case. As it's still an ongoing investigation. Um, but I just wanted to jump in here and just bring out these few issues I have said, which is the key areas I feel like we need to really dive into to understand more about this girl and show some empathy. I'm not saying excuse the crime, never. My dear, if you killed someone, you know you have to face the consequences by law. And equally by people, because people also have their own judgments. People, like, the public is a public court. So yes, you face the consequences. But I'm just saying, just bringing to you guys to look at the humanity in the girl, because she is still a young person, a young adult. She's still growing. I bet she will look back in her life and think, God, what have I done? And considering this is her first crime of this kind, let's forget about her lifestyle. Let's focus on who she is, because people are looking at, oh, she smokes, she's a very bad girl kind of attitude. She smokes, she drinks. Like most of you people have done those things. Okay, it's just that who's ones in public is the one that is shamed. That's the truth. Whose ones is in public is the one that is shamed, or the ones that are found are the ones that are shamed or found guilty. So, quite honestly, even your child is probably going to be doing that. And there's something I saw someone said is that the relationship with the parent, the relationship you have with the young person really does matter, because then they will be able to open up to you on what they are going through. So, and it was because of the relationship with I had with some of these young people that I've worked with in the past, are like the ones I've described here, are the ones that literally um, helped helped open up that door of understanding more of their needs and where they are coming from. Because quite honestly, some of these young people that we are seeing, you don't know where they are coming from. Oh. Do you know how many young people are on the streets with no father, no mother, no direction? Their only direction is their peers. And sometimes we may think those peers are not good, but that is for some of them, that is the only